So now we want to check in with the Senate side and are very glad to have United States Senator John Kennedy joining us here on WWL. Senator, Happy New Year and hope you had a fantastic and Merry Christmas.
I did, and same to you, Dave.
You know, we talked to Congressman Scalise a little while ago about how the Republicans have been laser focused this time versus 8 years ago when President Trump was preparing to take office. And we saw vast divisions in the Republican Party, despite the fact that the GOP controlled the House, the Senate, and the White House. How do you hope to see things play out differently now 8 years later so that the Republican Party can achieve its goals in the coming days, weeks, and months?
Well, number one, Scalise is a good man. Number two, there's always going to be division in Washington, D.C., because, frankly, the whole place is full of frustrated ex-class presidents who all think they know best. The division that we'll have next year won't be any different from the division that we always have. Number three, from the Senate perspective, or I should say from my perspective, there are a bunch of issues, but the three main ones that we have to deal with in no particular order. The first one's immigration. That's the biggest difference between Democrats and Republicans today. Democrats clearly believe in open borders and Republicans don't. Of all the issues we have to deal with, that may be the easiest. And I know that sounds sort of strange, Dave, but
yeah, after all the debate and everything else surrounding immigration for years and decades now, it is interesting to hear you say that may be the easiest. Why do you feel that, and what is it that the Republican Party is going to do? You get sworn in on Friday for the new Congress. President Trump will be taking the oath of office on January 20th. What are you going to do right away that you think will be so easy to pass, and how will it change our current immigration laws?
I say it's going to be easier, not easy, but it'll be easier than the other problems, because all we have to do to stem the tide immediately is to go back and do the things that we were doing the day before President Biden took office. He undid them his very first day. And I'm talking about remain in Mexico, safe third country policy, the wall, actually empowering Border Patrol agents to do their job. Now, a permanent fix is something we'll be working on after we stem the tide of foreign nationals coming into our country illegally. That will take longer. The second thing we need to do is the cost of living. Inflation. In Louisiana, I'll come back to this, but that means the cost of insurance. The only way to get these prices down is to grow out of them. In order for prices to actually fall, we would have to go into a recession with 10 to 12% unemployment, and we don't want that. That's what China's going through right now. So we've got to grow out of it by increasing productivity and wages. And the way we're going to start doing that is by renewing the tax cuts we made back in 2017. In terms of Louisiana, obviously, our people here in Louisiana have felt the effects of inflation, but no more so than insurance. That's the single biggest problem facing Louisiana today.
And how can you legislate? How can you legislate that, though, so that insurance companies stop raising their rates?
The federal government can have very little impact because insurance is regulated state by state. But the longest-term problem in Louisiana and the shortest-term right now is we're losing people. We're losing people. If we keep losing people, the average age in Louisiana is going to be deceased. One of the reasons we're losing people is because people can't afford the insurance. And the legislature needs to come into a special session, spend as long as it takes. I'm not talking about 10 days, and do everything it can to address this problem. I have my own ideas about what to do, but it's not up to me. It's up to the state. The third thing we need to do is, and we're going to have to reduce our spending to do this, is to bolster our military, our defense. I don't want America to be the world's policeman, but I don't want Putin in Russia and Xi in China and the Ayatollah in Iran to be the world's policeman either. And those countries hate us, and they want to kill us, and they want to drink our blood out of a boot. And that's just reality. Now, those are the three things that I think we're going to have to, in my opinion, work on it more than others. Others are important on the first 6 months. But for Louisiana, it's inflation and it's insurance. Insurance.
You know, we heard a lot of talk during the campaign about how if President Trump were reelected and the Republicans retained control of the House and won control of the Senate, that we would see this nation's economy dramatically improve. Do you feel confident that there are things that you can do in the Senate, that can be done in the House, that can get legislation to the president's desk, that can dramatically improve our economy?
Yes. Right now, projections for growth next year for the American economy are between 2 and 2.5%. That doesn't get it. In order for us to grow wages, we're going to have at least 3% or higher GDP growth. The first thing we need to do is renew those tax cuts. If we do not renew them, that will be a $4 trillion tax increase on every American who pays taxes, and it will gut the middle class in Louisiana like a fish. Now, that's not going to be easy to do. We'll have to do it through what's called reconciliation because we won't get a single Democratic vote. But economically, that's the most important thing we can do. There's some other things we can do in terms of stimulating economic activity. All I know is that normal growth in America is 3%. Today, if we have 3% growth, we want to celebrate and hold a toga party. That's no. I mean that's toga. Look, 3% ought to be normal, and 5,000 years of human experience has taught us that if you want to increase individual wealth, if you want to increase the wealth of a country, you have to you can't do it by raising taxes. When you tax something, you get less of it. It's not astrophysics, and that's going to keep us busy for the first year.
All right, we're talking with Senator John Kennedy, and we got to wrap it up. But I want to ask you: are you optimistic with President Trump returning to the White House, y'all winning control of the Senate and retaining control of the House of Representatives, that the future is bright for Louisianians and for Americans?
Yes, I'm an optimist. Now, I'm an optimist who worries. I'm a paranoid optimist. It's not going to be easy, but hell yeah, it's sure. The short answer to your question is yes. The long answer is hell yes. It's sure going to be better than what we could have had.
Senator, thank you for joining us. I know you're a busy man. I hope you have a very happy new year and look forward to your being sworn in once again for the next Congress of the United States. Serving in the United States Senate on Friday, y'all start your new session, and then President Trump will be sworn in on January 20th. I'm sure we'll be talking to you a whole lot along that journey.
You're a fine American, Cohen.
Thank you, sir. Happy New Year. I'm Dave Cohen in for Tommy Tucker. We're going to see what Newell Norman's got coming up for the next 3 hours after this on WWL.